Running a successful business is all about leadership. Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, is the weekly broadcast where you'll learn from successful entrepreneurs and business owners about how to thrive, not just survive, and make more money in any environment. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO. I'm the author of Running Your Small Business Like a Pro and founder of the Small Business Pro University. My co-host, Arthur Jones, is the lead consultant at The Art of Standing Out. Together, we facilitate important conversations with high-performing guest experts who share some of their secrets to success. Leadership Live is brought to you by the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Join us every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. and remember that the more you know, the faster you grow. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Live at 8:05. Once again, we'll be talking small business this week and have a very exciting broadcast for you, and excited to have you here. Tonight, we're going to be talking with our special guest expert, Dr. Stan Dobbs, otherwise known as Commander Data, is going to be talking to us this evening about fiscal solvency solution strategy. So that's a little bit of a tongue twister, but really he's going to talk about what you can do to save or fiscally support your company during challenging times so that you can not just survive, but thrive and be more successful in your business. Stan and I, after graduating from college, we went to Navy Supply Corps School together in Athens, Georgia, and really connected and have been friends ever since. And, Stan's one of the exceptional people that I've run into. Currently, he's the turnaround and restructuring chief executive and managing consultant of Commander Data Management Consulting. But also, Stan's one of the most educated people I know. He's probably been to 20 different schools, has his PhD, all about learning and experience. And so, not only does he learn, but he implements it successfully. So, beyond school, he served in the Navy actually for 20 plus years and retired. But during that time, he worked on submarines, aircraft carriers, naval air bases. And, actually before he left, he was able to save the Navy over $1 billion during an 18-month period using his expertise in data. And that's really where he got his name Commander Data from. Following on the Navy, continued to lead with expertise. He was a CFO of the San Diego School District as well. He spent time as a CFO and then became the CEO and superintendent of the Hayward School District. So, we're talking about someone who's accomplished a lot and done some great things and has a lot of valuable things to share. So very excited to have Stan here with us this evening and look forward to him sharing with all of us some great things. My co-host, Art Jones, each week we host a broadcast and he's helping us to communicate and really bring out the essence of the most value for the learning experience of those who are viewing. So welcome everybody. I want to welcome Art Jones. If you want to join us, say hello and take over from here, Art.
Every Tuesday night is one of the most interesting days of the week for me because, like Andrew said, it's all about business. And Andrew's put together a roster of really stellar business executives and leaders. And tonight is no different. Dr. Stan Dobbs, otherwise known as Commander Data, I think has so much to share. We don't have enough time to really get all the value from him that we can, because we only have about 47 minutes left. But we're going to maximize that. And I think one of the ways to maximize that is not just to dive into all of the data, if you will, but to really find out about who Dr. Dobbs really is and what his journey was like and how he amassed so much passion for knowledge and excellence in this area of being to see through data things that other people in business couldn't see. So Dr. Dobbs, come on screen so we can chat a little bit about the journey from Commander Data to becoming the lead executive in so many enterprises and saving those enterprises so much money over time.
Thank you so much, Art. I'm almost afraid to come on video. You guys did a good job of talking about somebody I want to meet. But no, thank you so much for the invitation. It's great to be here. It's always great to talk and share with other entrepreneurs and business owners, especially when it comes to talking about how to make your passion in your business profitable. For a lot of us, our business is our lifeblood. And so we would do just about anything to make sure our businesses stay successful, because it's more than just for us, a lot of times for us and our families. So we got to always engage in such a way, maintain a competitive advantage. And I've found over the last 30 years that that competitive advantage has been laid inside of understanding data and understanding the data related to your customers and how to use that in a way to make your business more profitable. One of the things that you can do that by is by just simply saying and determining, what is my value as a business owner? What do my customers value? And then turn those into key performance indicators to say, this is the business that I'm in. So you say key performance indicators, KPIs. Those are just the metrics or the things that you do, and the indicators behind them. You know, how much money you make in this situation, how much is good cost of goods, how much are you paying for inventory, how much are you paying for shipping, how much are you paying for materials, how much are you paying for healthcare. You know, those kind of commodities. Those key performance indicators are things that you could utilize to help determine how to make yourself more profitable. And the best way to do that is to really do it by looking at the data, because the data is going to tell you what you really do, not what you say you do. I'll give you a good example of that. Go into your, well, we don't have checkbooks now, so go online and look at your personal check registry. And I know people that say, my number one priority is paying my tithes and offering. Okay, that's probably is true to them in their mind. But if you go look at the registry of how their money went out of their account, well, less than 10% went toward tithes and offering. So when you look at it from the standpoint, what are your real key performance indicators? You go back to them and say, no, it's not. You know, it's buying clothes, it's shoes, it's video games, it's sneakers, it's all these other things. It's not what you say it is. So if you do that in your personal life, imagine what you're doing in your business. So you step back and look at the data, you know, and DCMS by locator, that's what it means in Latin. Sorry, I speak Latin too. It means let the data or the information speak for itself. So just look at your data and it will tell you what you need to do next.
So Dr. Dobbs, you know, 20 years as a commander, you know, aboard ship, nuclear submarines, you've had ample opportunity since they gave you that nickname, Commander Data, early in your career. And is it true that they gave you that name because they saw you as someone who you saw things in data that nobody else could see? Is that right?
Correct. Well, one, I want to make it clear that the Commander Data, the android that plays on Star Trek,
yeah,
well, he was a lieutenant commander, so I outrank him.
Just to make sure.
So just to make sure that's cleared up and everything like that. So it's Commander Data. But yes, it goes back to the idea that I was I was an operations research and analysis engineer. I worked in nuclear engineering. I worked in logistics. I dealt with the money. I dealt with the whole operational spectrum. And I dealt heavily into information systems. So one of the jobs I had was taking 42 logistics databases that we've had for decades and taking all those databases and put them together into one database called the Enterprise Resource Planning System, ERP. It was made by a company called SAP that you all heard about. This was a $550 million project that was way over budget. And so by the time my team and I was called in to go to find out what was going on and why they couldn't go live, because they would call themselves going live, they hit the switch and it didn't go live. So, but a lot of times I found doing the data, it's not so much about the data, it's what the data telling you when you're allowed to listen to. In that particular case, $550 million project over budget. And the reason why they had the problems they had was because they selected a team of people to work on the project, gave them promotions and a bonus, and their supervisors selected the people that could work on the project because they were going to be gone for like 2 years. Government employees. So what did each one of the supervisors do? They didn't pick their best people to go on this particular adventure. They picked a mediocre or a low person or somebody been complaining all the time. And so what those people did, they went in, they built the project, and they built all the data rules based on what was in the books, which would have been fair if that's how people worked. So they came and said, well, what happened? What happened? So I said, let my team and I go in there. We went in for about a week. We came back. And, of course, my team went, what fool, what idiot, what blah, blah, blah. Well, no, don't worry about that. So we got done, and the admiral asked me at the end, he said, well, Commander Data, what's the problem? I told him, I said, well, the problem is this. You forgot about the put in the middle. He said, why did I ask? I know there's a story behind this. I said, yes, sir, there is. I said, see, the people you sent down here built everything based on what's documented in the system, the operating procedures. But Mary and Alice been working together for the last 20 years, and Alice don't really like computers. So Mary manipulated the data in such a way that when she passes it to Alice, all Alice has to do is do something else, and then it goes to the next to do what she needs to do. And it's like hundreds of those around the company throughout 42 databases. There's hundreds of Marys and Alices. So this is what you really do compared to what you think you do.
Yeah.
Again, looking at the data.
Yeah.
And so when you go back and look at what you really do, you find out there's no way what you put in could ever work. Because it's missing that put in the middle, that relationship between Mary and Alice, all over the place.
That's right.
So he said, well, can we fix it? Yeah. How long will it take? I said, how long you need it back? I need it back in a month, so I get it to you in a week. What? Yeah. So I took my team, we went in, real people this time, that know what they're doing, and built the system based on what they did instead of what they thought they did. Then when it came time to hit the switch, click, everything worked.
So Dr. Dobbs, I want to draw a parallel between the story you just told about that 42 SAP systems, and I've been part of some of those, and those are like the gift that keeps on giving to the vendor, right?
Right,
They stop implementing. And
modules on module, every time they update a module, you got to go back.
And
right.
Change order after change order.
Right.
But what you described is you went in and your customer was the person with the problem. The problem was they were afraid they were going to miss their target and they needed your help. Can you draw a parallel between that break fix, it was broken, you fixed it in short order, and the message we've been delivering to our audience over the course of the last 90 days or so is that leaders need to really accept the responsibility to commit to understanding the problems that keep their customers awake at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And fixing those problems, because that's what their business is built to do. Is there some wisdom that you can share that comes from your kind of experiences for those leaders to what do they have to do to accept the responsibility? Or is there some special kind of commitment that they have to start drilling down into seeing where the problems are the way you did when that SAP mess was in front of you?
Well, $550 million is a lot of money to not have a deliverable. So of course, there was a lot of people interested in that being corrected. But I learned from a 3-star admiral who was a commander when he first he became my mentor. He said that those things that interest me should fascinate the hell out of you. I said, okay, sir. So there's a problem that interests this 3-star admiral, and he's embarrassed. It should fascinate you to come up with a solution, and we do. But you got to take a step back, just like you do with your customer. And every time that customer come in the door and you know that customer, and you know them well, you got to step back and say, why do I think I know Carol well? Is it because every Friday she comes in here and get a bouquet of flowers for her mom that's in the nursing home? You know, and she's been doing that for 3 years straight. You know, so you know that's a guaranteed bouquet sale for her mom, because you know that's what she's going to do. But what else do you know about Carol? What else do Carol do that you could be a benefit to her? If not as a florist, but as someone else you know as a business entity that could provide that service to her that you know. As a referral, what could you do? You know, does her mother sew in the nursing home? You know, does she quilt? What else can you find out from Carol to find out how you could better make her life better? And when you do that, trust me, she will come back over and over and over again, because you've taken the time as a leader to understand what your customer needs are, read her demand, and ready to provide the supply.
I wish I had a button right now that the applause would be the line, because that was spot on. That's exactly what I was hoping you were going to say, and you said it so well. And it's the same thing that Andrew's book says. That little line down there that says, "The more you know, the faster you grow."
Right.
Dobbs just described is the data that is inside the relationship you have with your customer. That
right.
If you ask for it, they'll give it to you.
Right.
Don't ask, your competitor asked, and you lose a customer. Because what that customer wants is not just flowers for mom because she's in a nursing home, but she wants to make mom happy. And if sewing and quilting and make her happy, and you can provide that, you'll keep that customer for life.
If I was that florist, I would know Carol's birthday, her mom's birthday. If she got a mother-in-law, I know that birthday. I would know what nursing home she's in. I would say, would you like for us to prepare this and have it delivered to your mother? I mean, I would come on every kind of way you could imagine to make this experience for her as personal as possible, as as concierge as possible, because I know it will benefit the relationship. And so when you start making other recommendations, they fall on the right kind of ear and the right kind of heart. So everybody want to feel like they got a concierge relationship with someone they're giving their money to. Especially nowadays when money is hard to come by for some people. You want to spend it in the most wisest way, in the wisest fashion possible. So if you're dealing with someone that understands that this dollar is valuable to you, then you're going to respect that person and stay there as long as you can, regardless of what the business is.
And I think you nailed another really important point, is that if we're 15 people selling and we're working as florists, the one that serves me best and gives me the most value and does it by providing the best experience when they're providing that value.
Right.
And they make it easy for me to do business with them. So understanding the data, you got to ask sometimes. You just can't assume you know. Right. The implication is she buys flowers from me every time she goes to visit her mom. Isn't that great? Well, right. There's to that story. Spend time asking her, so tell me about your mom.
Exactly.
And that's where the data bubbles up to the surface. Then you can provide a better experience to her when she comes in that store, so she can provide a better experience to mom when she visits.
Exactly. I would even go as far as if you're hard on revenue, do something simple. Create a little card that has her name on it with 10 punches on it or something. So every time she get the flower, you punch it. And at the end of the punches, you trust me, you can afford to give her one thing of flowers free for being faithful and buying 10 from you or whatever, or 10 or 5 to do that. Or you do it to say, once you collect these cards, when she call her mom, say she go visit mom on the weekend, her mom's birthday on Wednesday, but you know her mom's birthday on Wednesday. When she get ready to go see her mom, oh, thank you for the flowers that I got on Wednesday for my birthday. She's like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Oh, they came from, Jones flower, where I get them from every week. Thank you so much. And you, happy birthday to you from Jones Flower Flora in honor of your wonderful daughter, Carol. Man, mama, make sure you go buy no flowers from nobody but them from that point on.
You're right about that, brother. Listen, man, I think, data is a big, hairy subject that most people don't want to deal with. But this conversation has taken data and made it human. And thank you for that, because I think in keeping with what Andrew put on his book, right, the more you know, the faster you grow. Right. And I think this conversation is proof that if you control the data, then you can outsell your competitors by providing the best experience, because you know your customer better than they do. And if you do that, you'll keep your customer longer than your competitors will, and the competitors' customers will come to you because they hear that you do such a great job providing experience. They don't know that that you're using data to do it. They just know experience is amazing. You do wonderful things for the customers, and the data lives inside your business. Customers don't have to know that that's what you're managing. But the more data you control, the more knowledge you have about your customers, the more value you can provide to them, and the more value they'll bring back to you as a business.
The difference between a small business and Amazon, other than size, of course, and capacity, is also the fact that Amazon has data for more different points in that person's life than you do. So Amazon doesn't just have what they bought from Amazon. Amazon has data from what you bought online from anybody, or when you paid your electric bill, or anything like when last time you bought a car. They got all that stuff at Amazon. But you don't need all that. You just need to know what that person needs and help them understand that you are providing that service to them almost as though they were the only customer you had. Concierge. You made a conscious decision to make sure that you had this available for them when they needed it. Before they even thought about it, it was available for them. That's your advantage over Amazon. Amazon may come and tell you something because they're going based on forecasting, based on what you've done in the past. If the future means anything, you're going to do this again. And that's true. But there's no attachment to it. There's nothing, that's just a reminder. Unless they tie a coupon or some deep discount to it. That's how they add value. But what they're doing with that deep discount to add value is the same value they're trying to compensate from that you're providing as a small business concierge type service for you. And you ain't got to give up the money. They paid you for the experience. They paid you the 50% they would have given Amazon to save 40%. They gave it to you for the experience.
Right.
And they keep getting to you for the experience.
And because Amazon is coming for all small businesses, you have to perform better and provide a better experience than Amazon the robot can. I don't care if they deliver a box by a drone on my front doorstep. If you shake my hand and you send my mother flowers on her birthday, business. Because it's still, as humans, we want to do human to human business. And Amazon's all up between a lot of small businesses because the small businesses didn't have that human to human relationship. They just gave up. It's not too late, because think of the bookstores that went out of business. They were scared to death of Amazon. There's still bookstores doing business today.
Doing great business.
They provide you with a comfortable chair to sit down and hold that book in your hand, just like we used to like to do, because that's how we are. That's what we do. So look, I could, like I said, I don't think we had enough time with Dr. Stan Dobbs to have this conversation. I want to drill down deeper into the data, but I know I'm only standing between Andrew, your old shipmate, and you, your conversation. So I'm going to call Andrew back on screen now, so you guys can talk about some surprises I think you've got, because I heard that there's a course that you're offering this audience that talks about how to be better at managing their data to help them grow their businesses. So Andrew, talk more about that.
All right. Well, thanks for the conversation, Art, and I'm always available.
Okay.
Fantastic. Enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Art. Stan, definitely excited to be here. And this is going to be a pretty interesting night because not only were we going to talk to Stan about data, we're going to talk to him a little bit about roadkill. We're going to talk to him about geese poop, and we're going to talk to him about how he saved the Navy over $1 billion. So this is going to be a pretty interesting show. So Stan, you've done some great things, and just want to talk about how you figured them out. And the first thing is looking at the data, looking at the numbers, looking at the information. And that's a key thing that small business owners need to do, but
right.
Not only looking at it, but understanding what it's telling you. And
Right.
many times it's not telling you what you want to hear,
Right.
or it's something different than you believe.
Right.
The numbers are the numbers, and it's the truth. So the question is, what are you going to do? And
Right.
in several cases, you've gone and seen the data, and saw that the business, the organization was in very bad financial situation.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about how you managed through that in one of your opportunities?
Hey, thanks a lot. And then and before I talk about poop and roadkill, I guess I'll go ahead and talk about the Navy first, so everybody understand that it is a legitimate. They'll understand when I tell the stories. But so one of the things about the Navy, I had the great opportunity, especially learning how to be a master black belt in Lean and Six Sigma and theory of constraints, learning and being an architect, a part of what we call airspeed, working with all 6,900 of our aviations, our 12 aircraft carriers at the time, and working at Command of Naval Air Forces. It allowed me to have access to a lot of good, concrete, historical data. And so one of the things that we were dealing with, you guys probably seen on the news and stuff, where we got a new aircraft throughout all the services called the F-35. And the F-35 is basically over time replaced the F-18 in the Navy and some of the other services. But the F-18 had this motor called a 404, the A404 engine for the A to D, not the Super Hornets, but the Hornets. And so we had this intricate process after base realignment and closure called BRAC back in the day, when President Clinton was the president, that we closed a lot of military bases. And when those bases were closed, it forced a smaller footprint, and it also, to keep some places viable, you had to put it in remote places. So the servicing of the modules for these motors ended up being split over 3 places: Oceana, Virginia, Cherry Point, North Carolina, and then Lemoore, California. So to fix an engine for a Hornet, it took the 3 of those to touch it. As a result of doing so, it took 77 days to fix a motor. So a motor went down on an airplane, you pull it off the aircraft out at sea or on the flight line. 77 days, you get that same motor back. So you can't wait 77 days. You can't be down 77 days. You got to be operational. So if you're in the middle of the ocean on an aircraft carrier, you got to carry so many repair parts to compensate for the fact that it takes 77 days to fix something. So we streamlined the process, the team and I, through airspeed, and we walked it down from 77 days to 7 days. And by doing that, that saved the inventory cost avoidance of $352 million a year, just in cost avoidance. So that would have been inventory we would have bought just to support a supply chain that takes 77 days to fix something. So over the 18 months, we went down, and at the end, we ended up saving a total of $1.8 billion over 18 months as we ratcheted down from 77 to 7 days. And that was all based on data, streamlining, Lean, Six Sigma, theory of constraints, all data to come up with that solution. And because you didn't change the way the technicians fixed the planes, only thing that was added to the situation was I did put in a process, a 24-hour system of trucks that took engine parts, modules we call them, from Lemoore to Cherry Point to Oceana, Oceana back to Lemoore. And that was something that wasn't continuous in the past. That was causing a lot of delays with the 77 days. But having those 3 trucks, having that truck running in different layers, really ratchet down to 77 days quickly. So it didn't take us a long time to get there because the learning side was already done. We made cases, and each one of the cases had every part required to fix an engine module, and we issued a case on wheels when the module came, and the technician used every part in there. They were set in styrofoam inlays, so there should be nothing left in there when it's done. And then when it's done, you move it to the next station, get on truck and go. And it was very successful, extremely successful. I received an award from the Pentagon for that. It was called the Vice Admiral Stan Arthur Military Logistician of the Year Award. I know that's a mouthful, but it came with a very nice a bonus check that came along with that for 10 grand. But it makes you the #1 military logistician in the Navy and the Marine Corps. So that was a very good title to have for doing that work. Plus, that was just one of many that was part of the process for the selection process. But my team and I worked on a lot of different things, and we came up with some great stuff, some amazing stuff. So, go ahead. So as a civilian, you were talking about geese poop and
let me just
okay. All right, go ahead.
A couple comments. I mean, because first, that's super impressive, what you've done, and very few people
Thank you.
can even appreciate the extent of it. And even though the Navy gave you a bonus, I think they made out best in the deal.
Well, we had a big command barbecue, so it went to the right place.
Right. So,
back to people.
But I think there were a couple key things that I don't want people to miss.
Okay.
And not too long ago, we had Terry Travick on, and one of the things he talked about was that strategy is important, but it's not sufficient. So you can have all the strategy in the world, but if you can't implement it successfully, then it's not really worth much.
Implementation, execution is everything.
And the other thing that you did was, you thought out of the box. So you disrupted the supply chain,
right?
But you didn't just at a high level disrupt it. You did continual improvement, because every step of the way you looked at how can I improve every single step of the way, and you have to do the work to do that. But there's so much opportunity in businesses, especially with technology advances and different things. Every business can be improved upon and optimized if you are willing to do the work and look at it. So,
every single business.
So, I mean, tremendous, my hat's off to you. Very few, if any, people could have done that. But you were the right person for the job.
Thanks. And that article that also was written up in a magazine called Six Sigma magazine.
Okay.
It's called I Six Sigma, like iPhone I Six Sigma magazine, back when that happened. But I also want to share with people the leadership perspective of this. So I led the team, some other colleagues on the maintenance side, and we got it done. But the award that I received for that Military Logistician of the Year, I didn't even apply for that award. But I did. They had a team, but I did put in for my team to get the award for as Military Logistician Team of the Year. I didn't apply for the award, but unbeknownst to me, my team applied for the award, put me in for the award. So when I got the call from the Pentagon that we had won, I was celebrating about how we had won. They're gonna be excited. He said, "No, sir, Commander, no, you won." I'm like, "Well, no, I put in no," and I didn't even know that my team had put me in for the award to be recognized for that. And so that meant more to me than the $1.8 billion, because they mean that my team recognized that we did something valuable together, and it meant enough to them to recognize me for the contribution, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, that's
right.
I mean, outstanding leadership. I mean, that one thing that the Navy and the military is known for is developing leaders.
Right.
And as a business owner, you're the leader de facto. But
Right.
the question is, are you going to be a good leader? And how do you be a good leader? And that's one of the things that we work on. But if you don't bring leadership, it's very difficult to move your organization forward. And I always say your organization can only go as far as you're prepared to take it. So if you are not ready to move it forward, it's not going to move forward. And one of the biggest pieces of leadership, and probably one of the reasons why you were even able to be successful, not only did you do all the data, but it's about communication, because you can't implement without communication. So tell us a little bit about your strategies around communication, or some things that could be that you find valuable when you're thinking about communicating with people.
Well, one of the things about it is that whenever I approach a problem, it's easy for me to solve somebody else's problem than my own problem, for the same reason that you have, because you're a part of it and you see it, and you don't see it the same way another set of eyes do. So it's always good to have somebody from the outside to come look in and say, hey, what do you think? And then also be open enough to accept the response. Because keep in mind, you may not believe that what is your biggest issue really is your biggest issue. So communication is very important. Also, I found in communicating that information is to always listen to the person that does the work when it comes to business. So, and what I mean by that, if I'm running a dry cleaner, and chances of I'm running a dry cleaner, I'm probably not there to be the business manager. I probably have run every press in there and done every facet of dry cleaning that you can do. But in the military, as a supply officer, we had the opportunity to run dry cleaning facilities and whatever. But the most knowledgeable person was the person that's what they've been doing for their career, as a ship serviceman, running the dry cleaner, running the barbershop, running the ship store. They're the experts. So when you're trying to figure out how to make improvements, never be shy about asking the people who actually do the work, because they can be able to tell you a lot faster where there could be some small changes and innovations to help. And if you listen to that and you can implement it, you just made an advocate for the next project. And that's what I would always do. Find out from someone. Most time, especially in government, I always call it the little old lady in tennis shoes. There's always some little old lady in tennis shoes that have been working there forever and a day, that people done not written them off, but just, they're salary or whatever. That when you ask her something, well, I told them 20 years ago not to do this, and 5 years ago not to do this, not to do that, whatever. But then when you take that information, analyze, you find out, wow, that was great information. How do I implement that? And then you let that person know. You remember when you told me about this? Yeah, I thought about it. That's a pretty good idea. If we do blank, can you help me with that? Well, I don't want to get involved. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. And you bring them on board as a communication, and y'all go fix it together. Now you get a partner for life. Guess what? In the business, you're trying to improve. So please ensure that you communicate with all stakeholders. Don't forget about your customers. That's your number one thing. Never miss the opportunity to ask your customer, how can you provide a better service? Because chances are, if you're doing a great job, they're just going to tell you that. If you're doing a bad job, they're going to tell you. It's the person in the middle that you really want to hear from, because they're trying to bite their tongue, but that's the one that really got something to tell you that could improve things. So communication is important. But when it comes to another thing in your business world, I call this what we're dealing with now, disruptive management, disruptive business management. I created a theory for that called Fiscal Solvency Solution Strategies. And disruptive from the standpoint that it's caused by, a condition that you didn't bring about yourself. It could be natural, it could be man-made. In our case, it's COVID-19. It's the current leadership in the White House. It's the economy. It's a lot of different things. And what do you decide to do about that? So beforehand, disruptive management was something that was described as, coming up with a new innovation to get rid of another one. So the emerging innovation takes over. And we're saying, well, we're not necessarily interested in bringing on a new innovation unless it's going to bring on some new revenue. But we do need to do something different. So my FS3 business theory was about, business evolution, its impact to business profitability created by natural man-made events. So natural events would be like a hurricane, an earthquake, or a pandemic. A man-made instability event would be like financial recession, financial depression, health pandemic, social unrest, everything that we're dealing with right now. So as a result, everyone's trying to figure out how to have a better business. And so that's already been figured out for you. And, there'll be a course in here that you'll have to help you figure that out. I created this theory years ago to help public entities protect and mitigate losses to public funds. For the same reason we're dealing with now, we deal with in the future. When this COVID-19 is over, you're going to find out that the government doesn't have the ability to correct the funding deficits on its own. So unless the federal government, who can print money at no cost, give them money, the only way they can do it is the old-fashioned way. Raise taxes or raise fees, which means they're going to pass the deficit back to us. So you got to be prepared for that. Increased property taxes, income taxes, gas taxes, purchase taxes, everything you can imagine to do that. So you got to come up with alternative solutions of how you're going to continue to make your business viable and go forward. And so what kind of innovation are we talking about? What could it look like? So one thing I was asking you, what can you add to your product line or your service line to hopefully make it more profitable? What can you do? And I mentioned it before about, I think I mentioned about selling flowers and right. Talking to the customer. Yeah. Also, small business partnerships. What services can you and another business collaborate on to move each other forward? Not saying it's it's just another business. This is your business line, this is their business line. What can y'all collaborate on, utilizing both your talents to move something forward? It may just be the capacity or the space you have to do something. But how can you partner? Also, how can you support government in mitigating its impending shortfalls? So how can you help the government with that? And what I mean by that is your local government. What are you going to do to make sure they can keep trash services? How do you help mitigate that? What are you going to do to make sure that the street lights can still be fixed? What are you going to do? How do you contribute to that? And it may not be monetarily. It may be time. But how do you do that? And also, how can you support schools, students, first responders, medical, our first priority funders? Why do I say this? Because you got to learn how to follow the money. Look at where the stimulus money went when it went out. Look where the PPP money when it went out. Look how you prioritize that. Other than money that went to some people that probably they didn't need it, the money went to services. So how do you get involved in that to be able to be a part of making sure those services interact so you can be a partner in that? Like, for instance, if I was going to try to partner right now, schools need tutoring, they need homework help for students, they need afternoon activities to keep students busy because their parents at work. They need you to be able to do this in person, online, or hybrid. As we go forward, we need counselors, we need mentoring, we need support services, especially when the pandemic is over, and childcare. Childcare is going to be a different business when this is all over and done. So where do you fall at in that process when it comes to following the money? The government has money. The government got grants. The government will create and fund needs. I always say, let the government create the demand, and as a business, you create the supply. And if you can find yourself in that loop, like I said, let the government create the demand, and as a business, you create the supply. If you can find yourself following the money in that loop, you're in a good spot. And I think that'll serve everybody well. If you look at your business as a marriage that you've already made it, it's the most important thing to you and your family is your business, and to make sure it stays viable and stay open. Also understand that that customer is just as important to you, and keeping that customer is just as important to you as keeping that business viable and thriving.
Okay. No, that's tremendous. Very important. It fits in line with, we did a seminar called Learn to Thrive. Okay. And what we talked about really in 3 parts is, 1, understanding the trends that are going on around you. So, what are the needs, wants, and desires, and what are people willing to pay, and who can pay? So, looking at the trends, but it's not just about the trends. You have to look at yourself. You need to figure out the strengths of you and your business, and which trends you can provide value towards.
Correct.
So you want to put yourself with the trend, just like back in the 70s, they were like, the future is computers. So if you got in the trend with computers, you did pretty well.
Right.
And same now, you want to find the right trend and be able to impact that, and knowledge about you, your strengths. And then the final part is assessing whether you're prepared to grow and deliver on the services and products. And that's what it's all about. So you hit the nail on the head.
But Andy, when all that comes together, those trends is based on data.
Yes.
It goes back to the whole idea of that, understanding and knowing your data, how it relates to you and support you, and how it relates to your customer. You can figure out, looking at your PKIs, how to be vibrant, how to thrive in that environment. And until you take a look at your data, you'll be guessing. You'll be going off a hunch.
Yep.
And it may be historically right because it is a hunch, because you've seen it so many times. Satchel Paige always throws a strike on the 3rd throw because he's done that way for 25 years. But if you collected the data, you also could have known Satchel Paige always throws a strike on the third pitch, because he's done that for 25 years. So you didn't have to be there to know that and live that to know that. And I just said, I don't know if Satchel Paige really did that. I'm just throwing you as an example for data. But know your data. Know your data. Not everybody else's data, your data. Now, if you want to know your competitors' data, that's a good thing to know, but only because you want to find the weaknesses and the vulnerabilities so you can know where you can target to be your next venture as far as what you want to offer as a product.
Okay. Well, let me jump in there because we're getting close to 9.
Okay.
I don't want to be untrue, and I promise geese poop and roadkill. So,
okay.
One of the things that you've done creatively is finding value where others didn't see it. Right. So can you talk a little bit about?
I'll tie those in on the short version. So I was just sharing with Andrew that my brother-in-law, I love him to death, in South Carolina, works for a company that actually collects roadkill from public entities, public works, construction worker type people, all around the state as a collection point. And it goes back to this one factory, and in the middle of the night, and they make fertilizer, high grade fertilizer with the roadkill. And it's like, so, and I was just saying, like, wow, that's roadkill. But it's a thriving multi-million-dollar business to provide this high-grade fertilizer to help grow plants at a much better rate than regular fertilizer. So, and I was just sharing with them that when you understand the value of business, you pass by roadkill and you almost say, hey, baby, we got trash bags in the trunk because we need to pick up this roadkill. That's money on the side of the road. That ain't just a dead squirrel. That's money on the side of the road. And of course, your wife will slap you every side of the head if you did that. But I bring that example up just to say that that's valuation on the side of the road. That's a commodity for someone. Someone is actually picking that up, delivering it to a place to be processed, that turn into fertilizer, that turn into better plants to grow things for us to eat. Roadkill. All right, so next time you see roadkill, please leave it on the side of the road and just know that somebody else's job to take care of that. But just know that someday you may eat a nice carrot or apple or something that benefited from that great fertilizer. Other things, the geese poop and cash. One of the jobs I had was as what we call a chief business officer in public education is we have a problem in California, especially in the Bay Area, with the Canadian geese flying down during the winter months. And they stay about 2 months and they really tear the place apart. I'm talking about geese poop everywhere. You come back the next day, the basketball courts filled with geese poop. All the grounds, elementary grass, kids can't play. You know, you don't want them out there. You're scared they're going to get infected by something. And it's always been a problem. But all people have really done is just complain about it. So I just have for them, like, well, it got to be something you can do about it. So I say, well, what are they doing in Canada? They got to be doing something. Find out in Canada that they got machines that go by like when you do a lawnmower and it kind of sucks this stuff up, put it in bags, and then they get to do away with it. Like, well, that's a start. So, but I want to collect geese poop. Find out that there was a place in the Central Valley that made fertilizer. They had already found out and was already in the process of doing so, but they was getting it free. They were taking geese poop and making premium fertilizer. Geese poop. I'm like, wow, that's a good idea. So I said, okay, well, I got lots of geese poop. What am I gonna do with this geese poop? And I figured out a way to collect it. Now I gotta turn it into money. So the biggest problem I had was trying to evaluate, what's the valuation of geese poop? Since nobody else was selling it really, I had no way to determine, other than going by like cow manure that has a different content of methane, what's the geese poop quality. So what I ended up doing was striking a deal, because at that particular time it was budget cuts and folks wanted to do away with music and art. And so the deal that we struck was we would give you the geese poop, but what I want from you is to help support the arts program, art and music program. And that was a deal that we worked out to get instruments and stuff for the kids. And as a result of doing so, that was how we turned geese poop into cash. And the cash we used was to fund our music program. And it worked out.
Okay. No,
cash.
That's incredible.
So there's a Winston Marcello's kid out there right now playing a horn that geese poop paid for.
Yeah.
Making money.
You never know where, but that makes a huge difference for an organization.
Oh yeah. And for that kid and the kids to follow them.
And that's what leadership's all about. Being able to lead in a direction, being able to find good solutions. And unfortunately, we only have an hour tonight, but we're definitely going to invite you back. If you want to learn more about Stan's program and plan, he's doing a course for us on the Small Business Pro University, which we're going to have our official launch on October 15th. And the course is Fiscal, Solvency, Solution Strategies. And it's really about what we're doing, what we talked about today, and his program and methodology that you can also implement to help your business, help you be more creative, and help you understand how to use data and information to move forward in a better way. So,
right. And also, I want you to keep in mind that in my course, the bucket is always big enough to bail out all the water from the boat before it sinks. So don't worry about it.
right. So that was you before you took the course. But after the course, it's empty.
The bucket's always big enough. We'll be okay.
Yeah. So excellent. And thank you again. Always a pleasure. Anything you want to share before we close out?
Yeah, I just want to remind people that, now is the best time to be innovative. Now is the best time to ask questions to your employees and your customers, because they're your biggest advocates you can ask for right now. Understand and know your data, because it's going to help you to ask them the right question, what they really want to talk to you about. And then also that these disruptions are just opportunities for innovation. Business risks are necessary to gain fiscal stability. You don't get rich by keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's the definition of something else, and it's not stability. Business partnering can create new business innovations. Always follow the money. The government has money. The government has grants. The government will create and fund needs. Let the government create the demand, and let you be the person that create and provide the supply. Go out there and make yourself some good money and become billionaires. We need more of you.
Okay.
Have a great day. Thanks a lot for having me on board.
Okay, great. Thanks. Definitely great advice. Art, you want to share anything before we close out?
Generally, I close out with the tagline on Andrew's book, "The more you know, the faster you grow." But tonight, in honor of Commander Data, I think what I want to do is say that he or whoever manages their data best wins. Right. So go gather that data and make sure that you manage it well, and you'll succeed because of it, because it's likely that your competitors won't have heard from Commander Data or have taken his course. And when you do, you'll achieve so much more.
Thank you. Until next week, this has been Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business.